Welcome back to the channel. Well, today's Friday morning. The weather is somewhat cooperative. It's pretty cold. It's about 40 degrees, maybe 39 degrees right now. My buddy Dave has already started this without me this morning. He already completed the first row. I set that up Thursday night, knowing he was going to get there right at sun crack, I guess, or sunrise. And sure enough, he got there and knocked out pretty much that entire row by himself. So firewood season's coming to an end, and well, I think it is. I've just found out a gentleman around the corner offered me a couple cherry logs, which I'm definitely going to take them up on. They're close by. They're probably within a mile and a half. We'll go down there with a chainsaw and split them up and bring them back up here. But it's really good smoking wood, so I'm definitely interested in that. And then also, I want to build this pole barn. I wanted to do it this year, maybe this fall. Kind of leaning towards next year now. Got a lot of things going on this summer, but I have an area where the pole barn is going to go that needs to be cleared too. If I can get some of those trees down now, it'd be ideal. I really don't like working in the wooded areas in the summertime when the vegetation's, pretty full. So I'm probably processing more firewood through the summer, which is something I don't like to do, but I probably will have to. What you see me doing here is I'm basically making a row. This is kind of my standard setup. I think it's a standard setup for almost everybody that does firewood. So basically, I got these poles there, these stakes at Lowe's. They're kind of expensive, at least they were when I bought them. I can't remember. They're good quality, heavy duty T-poles, I think they're called. I put 2 on each end, and I usually run 2x4s as railings at the bottom of the log pile. So the reason why I'm running the 2x4s, because if you don't, the wood on the bottom will get extremely wet. It never will dry. It'll get muddy too. And then it also keeps the stack from falling over, which is something I've had problems with before. If you remember from other videos, the firewood I have stacked is almost like right behind me right now in the tractor. There's a bunch of firewood stacked over there, and it's stacked north to south. The wind blows, normally from the west and sometimes from the east, but mainly from the west. So if you have a stack going north and south and the wind blows from the west, it's more likely going to help blow it over. So the combination of not being stacked in the greatest area in the world and being stacked the wrong direction led to problems with me keeping the stack upright. So what we're doing here is where I'm stacking the wood at now is where I was originally going to put my pole barn, which I've decided not to put there now. I wanted to keep this space somewhat open, but this is a really good spot for the firewood. A lot of different reasons why. My house is to my right here, and then I do a lot of work to the left. I do plants. I propagate my own plants, and obviously all the log splitting equipment stuff and whatnot is all back over there. So you can see here's the front of my porch, and if I set the rows of firewood up this way, it's going to block the view of all the stuff that's not the greatest stuff in the world to look at. So I think it's a win-win, and it also is close to the driveway. A lot of this firewood I'll sell. It's not the best. I mean, it's good firewood, but it's not really great hardwood. There's some oak, cherry, hickory sprinkled in there, a lot of elm. Some ash in there now, so it's pretty much firewood to me, and honestly I can't burn that much firewood anyways, so I kept it close to the driveway. That way this fall, if I decide to sell some of it, it's easy for someone to pull their truck up and load their truck and get out of there with it. So it looks like this year I have about 3 cords of wood, which is 9 ricks. A rick is a 8-foot long, 4-foot high, 16 inches wide. That's a rick. 3 of those equal a cord. I'll tell you one thing, Dave is a machine. He works hard. He's kind of a quiet guy, but he puts in the time. He works solely for smoking wood. He's got a grill just like mine, a Yoder offset Wichita, and he really likes it. So he comes over and helps me do this kind of stuff in exchange for wood. I won't take cash from him, so he's got to give me labor. The labor is much more important than the cash, but I think he's really starting to like doing the work that I do outside. He's offered to actually help me with other projects, so I think he enjoys it. It's, something to be said about working outside. Now what we're doing here is you can see the stack of wood to my far right. I'm working the pile over there. That's pretty much what we split all winter long. I'm using the tractor to get to the other end of the road. It's quite a distance to throw them. And actually, I ended up getting hurt on this day, I think, or maybe the next day. This is a 2-day video, but I was throwing these things and tweaked my back pretty good. Just now feeling better 4 or 5 days later. But we're using that tractor to bring the wood down to the farther part of that row, and then I'm just throwing the logs over to the front part that, you know, I can easily just toss over there. And Dave's just continuing to stack over and over again. My goal is to get all the firewood in this area, so those other rows to my right there, where the wind blows them over at, I'd like to get all that firewood over here eventually too. Now Dave and I are sorting through this firewood. We are taking out all the oak and cherry logs that we see. We realize the importance of using those for smoking meat and not necessarily burning in a fireplace. So we're kind of filtering out the better pieces of wood for our cooking pleasures later on. Here's Dave driving the T-post for me. My back was pretty shot, so he took on the hard parts, I guess. As you can see, that tool's pretty good. The ground's really soft. When the ground's hard, it's really still hard to get those things in. But once they're in, they pretty much stay in. You can actually use that tool to dislodge the post out of the ground too. I didn't know that, and I'll show that sometime. I think I saw it on another YouTube video, but for the most part, it's pretty cool. You can actually drive them in. You can actually pull them up with you too, just using the leverage of the tool. So the distance between these two are about 12 inches or so. I usually keep 3 foot in between each row. That way you can walk up and down it pretty good. Probably not gonna get any grass to grow in between them. That's fine. Say this is just going to be for firewood only, so it's not important. And the area around it's actually grass, so I better, mow around it and make it look nice. You can see here I look like I'm barely doing anything, and Dave's doing all the work, which is partially true. My back, it just tore it up. I don't know, nothing too heavy, not like other videos, but I tweaked it pretty good. So Dave and I worked both Friday mornings and Saturday mornings, about 2.5 hours both days. He had things to do, I had things to do, so we casually did this. It took about 5 hours or so. It was a good, peaceful working day. It's something about being outside I just love, and you can't beat it. Even the weather's not perfect, it's still a great place to be. Quick little video. I hope you enjoyed it. Got almost all of it stacked. Pretty happy with it. If you got any questions, leave them in the comment area, and if you could share the video and subscribe, it'd be very helpful for the channel. And like I always say, I appreciate you spending time with the HomePro Hero.